It'll be very interactive as we go through the slides. If you have questions, we'll stop and entertain those as we go through. Certainly don't want you to get to the end and forget what you want to ask. If you're like I am, it goes away. So it has to pop out when it comes up. So just briefly, quick introduction. I'm James Backus, the superintendent of Hattiesburg Public School District. February 15th will be 4 years for me. Certainly, I have enjoyed that journey, and I'm very fortunate to be working with a great group of people, many of which are in here. If you work for Hattiesburg, raise your hand. So I have 2 people in here, so that's all right. I certainly appreciate their support and their confidence, and I'll let my colleague introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Williams. I'm the principal of Ann Arbor Middle School. This is my 6th year at Ann Arbor Middle School. My background, I had the privilege of teaching 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, just a little bit of 9th grade. So had the chance to pretty much see the K-12 spectrum, serving in different capacities, from teacher to assistant athletic director.
Okay. I didn't go through my bio. I guess when you've been working 40 years, nobody cares. They know you've done a lot of things, so there's no sense in talking about it. So just to kind of give you a backdrop, accountability started in K-12 and with No Child Left Behind in 2001. Prior to that, we were just lining up kids, trying to get them graduated and making sure they had the IEP done and things of that nature. But there's very little accountability as related to K-12. As we move forward, and once the accountability piece was in front of us, we had to begin to make decisions around data really without the tools to do something with it. So we had a lot of reports, multiple configurations, data was isolated, data was not connected. And some of you probably remember all the PDFs that you had to look at, stagnant stuff that you couldn't work with at all. Those were the things that we were working with, and data certainly was not actionable. So, looking at data analytics in K-12, these are the pieces that we are empowered to work with in districts. All the various pieces that we have, and I don't know if many of you may use SAM7. SAM7 is certainly a great resource for collecting data, but every time you pull an abstract from SAM7, it's a PDF or something of that nature that very seldom you can do any actions with it. So what we're going to share with you as a district, how we use data analytic tools to make data actionable for us to make day-to-day decisions and improving student achievement.
As relates to principal usage, everyone loves to use the expression data-driven decisions. Just left a teacher meeting. We're great at gathering data. We're good at driving it, from central office, from the principal meeting, back to the principal's office, driving it to the teacher classroom. The teacher, now they have binders. But the decision piece. So the question becomes, how do we move from data to truly making decisions? Lost time equals lost achievement. In the past, we would download reports. Someone would type it or retype it into an Excel spreadsheet, make some nice graphs. Then by the time it's time for us to act on that data, it's 2 weeks old. So it's no longer actionable. In Hattiesburg Public School District, we have to, principals, we report in monthly ComStat meetings in which we basically present SDIS model, which is a self-directed thinking model, which is similar to SMART goals. In order to do those ComStat meetings, we have to draw from multiple data points, not just discuss discipline, but discipline who, how many of them received referrals last year, what time of the day, who wrote the referral. So the data that we have to present comes from multiple data points. So oftentimes that will require the principal the teacher, the secretary, we all have to pull the reports, take from a PDF file or a CSV file if we're lucky. Add in some more files, highlight, figure out how to get the graph on there. So that ends up being a lot of man hours, especially on Saturdays. Typically that's Saturdays after school. So we were able to close that gap by using Tableau and using data analytics. So assessment data piece, achievement and growth. We're all familiar, or we were familiar with the MCT process. But regardless, either way, we're going to look at achievement levels and growth, regardless of what assessment model that we're using. Through use of Tableau, we're able to compare multiple data points in one place. Most importantly, we're able to move from worksheets to actually working. I was so glad to just load up that truckload of binders from 2008, 2009, 2010. And this is an example of the old MCT report. Probably most principals, they used to have that binder with all the test scores. And then during the summer, you get your SLAIR file. Teachers are trying to figure out growth. You're trying to wait for the embargo to be lifted so you can share the data out. All of those pieces. It was static. One report per student, a PDF file, not easily connected. So, Tableau Online, you can see the colors. The one, I call it red, is of course minimal. 2, basic. 3, the green, which is proficient. 4 is an advanced. You can notice and see how we were able to go from the previous slide, which was a static PDF sheet, to an interactive dashboard. We're able to look at students' proficiency levels as well as their raw scores. Oftentimes, you know what the kids did last year, but now they're sitting in the teacher's classroom. Normally what I would ask my teachers to do was, at the time, to calculate a current QDI of the classroom. And when we went to the new growth model, they would have to calculate their new, I call it 7 square, for each individual classroom, which takes time of the teacher. But by using data analytics, we're able to quickly capture that information. If you notice, this student here is all red. And oftentimes, that student will always stay in the kind of slow group. You know, we love to put labels on students. And a lot of times we assume a child with the label of minimal doesn't know anything. But if you look in measurement, this student is actually faring pretty well. So that's a growth for that student. That's an opportunity for that student to serve in a model capacity for other students, which can also build their morale. So it definitely gives talking points for the teacher.
So normally what we would do is put this kid in the same bucket with everybody else that's red. But here, this allows the differentiation. That gives that kid an opportunity to be awarded for what he or she is doing well in. And then we would certainly put him in a group with these 2 variables here, whether he would have to work with. But he would not be, just because he's minimum, he would not be all put in a minimum bucket, but only put in a position where we can help him grow where he needs to grow the most in these 3 spaces here. So that's how we differentiate.
And I think another key piece with the Tableau is the fact that I know personally I can be kind of impatient. I kind of want things my way when I want it. We do have other systems in our district that captures data. But if it's not the way I want it, I have to call the central office data manager, who may have to call the testing coordinator to send an upload. But with Tableau, it refreshes every 24 hours. So if I need it, I can get to it. Attendance is money. Attendance is money. Attendance is money. Prior to Tableau, each month in our district we do MSIS verification. The MSIS data person emails me a stack of files, hold harmless, some of the names I don't even know what they mean. But we have to verify our attendance within so many days. Not only that, with the attendance officer, we all know attendance, you only have a small frame of time to change it from excused to unexcused, or you'll violate the attendance officer's rules and regulations. So, we're able to schedule our attendance dashboard. This is actually the 63% rule. This graph here actually shows not the attendance. This captures students who were present and the amount of money that we lost for those particular students. So the dialogue that I'm able to have with parents, instead of just telling them when your child is not here or when they check out too early, we're able to show them in dollar signs how much money we're actually losing. The different colors represents different schools. And it provides it in a very dynamic way outside of just a simple spreadsheet. And of course, this isn't something that you have to create. It automatically refreshes.
So this is the district view. So as a superintendent, I can pull up this slide, and as he said, each one of these colors is a school. As you can see, on September the 16th, we lost over $1,000 on 63% of the day. So that's how we can look at how checking out impacts us. And then we can be very intentional with our parents. So, and I've also shared this with our legislators as well, so they can see how it impacts us on a day-to-day basis. It gives them real-time data. This is not something we guess. A day costs us about $28 a student, somewhere in that space. So we can really clear see the impact.
And one more thing, Mr. Backus. At Berkeley Middle School and also other schools in our district, of course, we really push excused absences. A child is absent, secretary has to call every day. Not only does the secretary have to call every day, on the next day, we're going to generate an excuse slip for all students if they did not bring in an excuse slip. That's a bag up to the bag up to bag up to make sure. We all know sometimes students, they come late, they sneak in through the front door, they're sitting in class all day, all the time. We're all human. Sometimes teachers do not think to go back and check the absentee. And so we personalize it for ownership. And I'm just being honest. When I presented this to my secretaries, I just really showed them on September 18th, if we have 18 days like that, that's somebody's job. Attendance is everyone's responsibility. From the bus driver, if it's raining, you may need to wait about 5-10 more seconds to make sure those students are actually getting to school. Because if they can't get a ride to school until 11 o'clock, we're losing money. And so being able to share that with all personnel is very key. Behavior, behavior, behavior. Historical data review. We're able to look and identify trends to understand the deeper root of the problem. In our case, we're actually able to track it back to, of course, we all know when teachers are out, then we know we have issues. But in one particular case, I was able to actually drill down and identify the location. The students were actually receiving a lot of referrals in the morning. And the same person was writing them up, and it was me. Okay. So when we were in the RTI TST meeting, we kept looking at the data. Kid had the referrals come from me. So I had to be reflective within myself. I may need to move myself out of this child's way, you know, because a lot of times we want to look at the data when it points to someone else. And when the data points to us, we want to come up with excuses. So we were able to look at this historical data points. Also track the last 2 weeks. PBIS, moving from feel good to actually working. We use the historical data. We cross-reference that. Our school, we give out Tiger books. We track that through the Tiger store. But we try actually cross-referencing our data to our PBIS. You can have a great PBIS system, but once the students become so acclimated to the same awards, you need to change it up. So once we see this line going on the incline, we know we need to get with our PBIS committee. We need to identify those behaviors, and we need to come up with something different.
That's the year-to-date look. As you can see, that spike refers to suspensions. That one is talking about looking at the incline of office referrals, and you see they're on the trajectory that we would like for them to go. And so one of the key things is fault lines in educating kids. We identified suspensions, office referrals, attendance, those are fault lines. So if they're not in the class learning, then your systems are creating your own fault lines. So that's why it's very important for us to do PBIS with fidelity and making sure that we have kids maximizing the opportunities in the classroom.
And again, the email subscriptions. When the superintendent called me to ask me about out-of-school suspensions, that's not a time for me to look for an answer. I need to already have an answer. So prior to this, I received my email subscriptions. I'm able to speak to my assistant principals, and we review our process. That way I have those answers before I'm asked. And so, and all I share with him is, let's just make sure we're following the process. Student grades, red flags in teacher grade books. I've had to use this one a lot recently. Human errors. Parent receives your progress report, all A's and B's. 9 weeks, D's and F's. That's a problem. With our current student management system, the only way I really have time or really can check, I have to go to a teacher grade book, and that's 67 teachers. With this, I'm able actually to track